Continue reading from the life of the historical Buddha, common Buddhist texts from Guidance and Insight from the Buddha, published by Maha Chulalongkorn University Press, 2017. We're in Pain in Vain. In this passage, the Buddha explains that prior to his period of extreme asceticism, he realized that awakening was not possible for those religious practitioners who were still attached to sensual pleasures. Having realized that he had to shun sensual pleasures, he then engaged in many kinds of extreme ascetic practices, however. While these did develop great energy and mindfulness, and the physical pain that they brought did not affect his mind. They also brought bodily exhaustion, and he came to realize that they were not leading to awakening. Has there never arisen in you, Venerable Gautama, a feeling so pleasant that it could invade his mind and remain? Has there never arisen in Venerable Gautama a feeling so painful that it could invade his mind and remain? Agivesana, searching for what is wholesome, seeking the supreme state of sublime peace, I wandered by stages through the country until eventually I arrived at Uvalea near Senani Gama. There I saw a agreeable piece of ground, a delightful grove, with a clear flowing river with pleasant smooth banks, and nearby a village for alms resort. Agivesana I considered. Agreeable is the piece of ground. Delightful is the grove with clear flowing river with pleasant smooth banks, and nearby a village for alms resort. This place will indeed serve for the striving, spiritual exertion of a clansman intent on striving. Agivesana, I sat down there with the thought, this will serve for striving. Agivesana, now these three similes occurred to me spontaneously, never before heard before, namely that just as a submerged or damp piece of scrappy wood cannot be set alight with a fire drill, but a dry one can be set alight, so only those renunciants and Brahmins who live bodily withdrawn from sensual pleasures, and those sensual desires, affections, infatuations, thirst, and fever for sensual pleasures has been fully abandoned and suppressed internally. Whether or not they feel painful, racking, piercing feeling due to exertion, they are capable of knowing and seeing and supreme awakening. Agivesana, I considered, suppose with my teeth clenched and my tongue pressed against the roof of my mouth, I beat down, constrained, and crushed my mind with mind. Agivesana, so with my teeth clenched and my tongue pressed against the roof of my mouth, I beat down, constrained, crushed my mind with mind. Agivesana, while I do so, sweat ran from my armpits. Agivesana, just as a strong man might seize a weaker man by the head or shoulders and beat him, constrain him, and crush him, so too, with my teeth clenched and my tongue pressed against the roof of my mouth, I beat down, constrain, and crush mine with mine, and sweat ran from my armpits. Agivesana, although tireless, energy was aroused in me, and unremitting mindfulness was established. My body was overwrought, strained because I have exhausted by the painful striving. But such painful feelings that arose in me did not invade my mind and remain. Agivesana, I considered. Suppose I practice the breathless meditation. He's talking here about a form of non-Buddhist meditation involving holding one's breath. So I stopped the in-breaths and the out-breath through my mouth and my nose. Agivesana. While I did so, there was a loud sound of winds coming out from my ear holes. Agivesana, just as there is a loud sound where the smith's bellows are blown, so too while I stopped the ins and the out breaths through my nostrils and ears, there was sounds, loud sounds of winds coming out of my ear holes. I considered, suppose I practiced further the breathing, the breathless meditation, so I stopped the in-breaths and the out-breaths through my mouth, nose, and ears. While I did so, violent winds cut through my head. It's just as if the strong man were pressing against my head with the tip of a sharp sword, so too while I stopped the in-breaths and the out-breath through my mouth, nose, and ears. Violent winds cut through my head. I considered, suppose I practiced further that breathless meditation, so I stopped the in-breaths and the out-breaths through my mouth, nose, and ears. While I did so, there were violent pains in my head, just as if a strong man were tightening a tough leather strap around my head as a headband, so too while I stopped the in-breaths and the out-breath through my mouth, nose, and ears, there were violent pains in my head. I considered, suppose I practiced further the breathless meditation, so I stopped the in-breaths and the out-breath through my mouth, nose, and ears. While I did so, violent winds carved up my belly, just as if a skilled butcher or his apprentice were to carve up an ox belly with a sharp and butcher's knife. So too while I stopped the in-breaths and the out-breath through my mouth, nose, and my ears. Violent winds carved up my belly. Suppose I practiced further the breathless meditation. So I stopped the in-breaths and the out-breath through my mouth, my nose, and my ears. While I did so, there was a violent burning in my body, just as if two strong men were to seize a weaker man by both arms, roast him over a pit of hot coals. So too, while I stopped the ins and the out-breath through my mouth, nose, and ears, there was a violent burning in my body. Now, the gods who saw me said, the renunciant Gautama is dead. Some gods said, the renunciant Gautama is not dead. He is dying. And other gods says, the renunciant Gautama is neither dead nor dying. He's an Arihat, holy one. For such is the way Arihats dwell. I consider, suppose I practice entirely cutting off food. Then gods came to me. This is also another form of asceticism that it's not a Buddhist practice. But for the context, there was a lot of techniques that he was versed in. You got to know that Gautama had all the amenities and all the education to learn different theories of practice and so forth. He was just trying them out or put him into practice. And the gods came to me and said, "Sir, do not practice entirely cutting off food. If you do so, we shall infuse heavenly food into the pores of your skin, and this will sustain you." I considered, if I claim to be completely fasting while these gods infuse heavenly food into my pores of skins, and this sustains me, then I shall be lying. So I dismissed those gods, saying, "There's no need." I consider, suppose I take very little food, a handful each time, whether of bean soup or lentil soup or fish soup or pea soup. So I took very little food, a handful each time, whether of bean, lentil, or vegetable soup or pea soup. While I did so, my body reached a state of extreme emaciation because of eating so little. My limbs became like the jointed segments of veined stems or bamboo stems. My backside became like a camel's hoof. The projections on my spine stood forth like corded beads. My ribs jutted out as not on a crazy rafters of an old roofless barn. The gleams of my eyes sank far down into their sockets, looking like the gleam of water that had sunk far down in a deep well. My scalp shriveled and withered as a green, bitter gourd shrivels and withers in the wind and sun. But because of eating so little, my belly skin adhered to my backbone. Thus, if I touched my belly skin, I encountered my backbone. And if I touched my backbone, I encountered my belly skin. Because of eating so little, if I defecated or urinated, I fell over on my face there. Because of eating so little, if I tried to ease my body by rubbing my limbs with my hands, the hair, rotted as it is its roots, fell from its body as rubbed. Now the people who saw me said the renunciant Gautama is black. Some people said the renunciant Gautama is not black, he is brown. Other people said the renunciant Gautama is neither black nor brown, he is golden skinned. So much had the clear, bright color of my skin deteriorated through eating so little. I considered whatever renunciant and Brahmins in the past have experienced painful, racking, piercing feeling due to exertion. This is the utmost. There is none beyond this. Whatever renunciants and Brahmins in the future will experience painful, racking, piercing feelings due to exertion. This is the utmost. There is none beyond this. Whether renunciants and Brahmins at present experience painful, racking, piercing feelings due to exertion, this is the utmost. There is none beyond this. But by the racking practice of austerities, I have not attained any superhuman distinction in knowing and seething, worthy of a notable ones. Could there be another path to awakening? This is from the Maha Satchaka Sutra, Majjhima Nikaya. This paints a perfect picture of the historical Buddha before his awakening. And in those times, we had siddhis, brahmins, and sages that will go into the forest and practice extreme asceticism or penance. And they were all versed in the Vedas. They were all versed in esoteric knowledge and so forth. This was passed down orally. You would have different renunciants or sages or siddhis or Brahmins, brahmacharyas. Brahmacharya is a celibate person that renounced the world and just go wandering. Practice extreme austerities. And for him to describe here, and for the sutra to describe vividly not eating just food, because food is essential, food and water, but not having enough, just a handful, a morsel of food, and so forth. He would drop his body. His backbone will protrude, his skin. It's amazing how he stood that pain. And to reflect on it, on the sutra, it's very helpful to see the life of Gautama before he was awakened. And his purpose, you would say, was, in the end, he said, but by racking practice of austerities, I have not attained any superhuman distinction in knowing and seeing worthy of the noble ones. Could there be another path to awakening? Amazing that there be no guidelines and no foundation, and you just wander off to find your own. And I just pray to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Sukita Hotu. May you be well.